I think that the value in understanding the business of 1099 CRNA is the lifestyle. We're able to free our lifestyle. We're able to work where we want, when we want, in nicer locations. If we find a toxic location, there's absolutely no reason to stay there. Part of what I teach is where to get the work, and it is actually all around you, because we are a commodity. There's not a lot of CRNAs in the nation, and we bring something to the table that no one else does. We're affordable anesthesia providers, and although the pay is getting better, but also we can provide independent anesthesia. And I honestly believe that as you become 1099, you gain some self-confidence that you never will be able to gain as a W-2. I mean, maybe, but it's just different. So I'm going to talk to you about how to gain your personal independence as a 1099 CRNA. So I have to just double check and whoops. Oh gosh, sorry guys. Have to make sure that I'm actually streaming live by looking at my phone, because that's really the only way I have figured out how to do this for sure. And it looks good. So thank y'all for being with me. So let's go ahead on to our slide deck, okay? So let's see, hold tight, let's share screen. Oh goodness, where did the little window go? Give me a second. Yeah, I have so many windows open. It is a-okay. There we go. Share screen. Great. Done. Deal. All right. So this is the side. This is the side that the video is on. So that's great. It looks good. So hey everybody, once again, my name's Alicia Quanti, and I bring to you the 1099 CRNA Mini-Masterclass, which is an introductory class for the larger, the was 8-week that turned into 11-week Freedom Masterclass that offers 21 Class A credits. So let's jump on in there, because what I do is I'm just going to teach you everything that I have learned through intensive, like nerd, like I've always wanted to understand 1099 CRNA lifestyle and how to run your business the very best. And I was raised in a family of business people who always said, why are you in the misery business? But I was 1099 as a registered nurse. And so I learned long ago, and then I had my family as mentors. So I understand how to make the tax structure work so that honestly, you pay very little in taxes. And that's kind of what it all boils down to. It's honest, it is powerful, it works. So if you would like a little financial stability and peace of mind as you begin your journey to 1099, or just want to learn more about it, then hang in there, and we're going to go about 25 minutes on this. So this is really to bring, I like to share with people how to bring balance to your life. You want to work in a kind environment and a pleasant environment where you're challenged and have some diversity in the care that you give. And yet you would like some time, obviously, to have some personal growth and be off on the days that it really suits your family and their schedule, the school schedule, the birthdays and holidays that you want to be with your family. And you also probably want to get treated really nicely. And you do get treated super nicely as a 1099er, because you are creating such an income for the anesthesia companies that you work for. I'm going to get into that more in a minute. So I see all of you guys are watching, and I really appreciate you joining me today. It's very, very nice, very kind. So this is like my imagination of what it was like to be W-2 as a brand new anesthetist. I really felt like I needed the support of everyone as a W-2. I felt like that was the only way I would truly get a supportive environment as a brand new CRNA. But after just a few months, I realized I was totally miserable, and I was like, what is going on here? And I realized that it was the W-2 portion of it that was making me extremely unhappy, because I couldn't control my schedule. I was having to do all this call. I was kind of being mistreated, I felt like, regarding the call and the schedule. So I didn't really need that support like I thought I did, because it turns out that even if you're 1099, you get treated the same way. So people like fresh anesthetists. They like that fresh attitude, and they're not afraid to help you. If you reach out, they're happy to collaborate and tell you, yeah, if you're like, well, so how would you do this case? Or that makes people feel good. That's very deferential and respectful. And people love to teach, really. CRNAs love to teach each other. So never be afraid to reach out. And if you were to start out as a 1099er, honestly, I do not think it's a problem. But honestly, 1099 CRNAs are treated better by the anesthesia employers. And that is because of many reasons. And one is that they're bringing in so much money that otherwise would not be brought in. The volume of cases wouldn't be able to be done if there weren't 1099 CRNAs. They're given breaks and lunches so that they'll definitely come back. They're never bullied, because if they were, they wouldn't come back. And they're much needed, because there is just, the anesthesia schedule is a funny thing. And I don't really think there's anything else like it. So there's really never quite enough anesthesia providers. Have you noticed? And the fact that CRNAs can work independently, and sometimes you won't even know that they are billing for you QZ, which is purely as a CRNA with no anesthesiologist backing you up. And that is because a lot of times places are short on anesthesiologists, the ones that are ACTs. So that is just something else that promotes the 1099 CRNA lifestyle. So you're almost guaranteed that work. So the other thing is you get off on time every day, which is fantastic. And really, I teach that you should have at least 3 work locations, and one so you could like work there Mondays and Tuesdays, when you could work like Thursdays and Fridays, and then you could take Wednesday and do whatever you want with it. But you could also add on from your 2 workplaces, or get another workplace that you could offer to do vacations and holidays. And you'll find that once you get into the lifestyle, you're able to move your days around very fluidly with other 1099 CRNAs. So I put this class together because I love working this way. It makes me feel very lighthearted when I go to work. I love that enthusiasm. I love making lots more money, because you do make about 40% more as a 1099er. And I really love negotiating, and I teach a big piece on that in my big course. And so I teach how to increase your income through tax savings, but also through negotiation strategies. So, and really, I think the key to the quality of life of a 1099er is that you can control your schedule. I know that if you become 1099, I know for certain it will kindle your career enthusiasm like nothing else. Our time on earth is limited, and it is really up to us to create a lifestyle that brings us joy. When we're at work, it brings us joy. When we're at home, it brings us joy. And being able to control and have a very flexible schedule seems to be the key to it all. I wouldn't trade this for the world. I teach it because so many people have asked me, how do you get to do all these things? I don't understand. How do you even make this 1099 thing work? And back when I started, I looked for a course on this, but fortunately I had a great mentor. And I'm just going to share with you the keys to success that she shared with me that made all the difference in the world. So how is this going to help you? Well, a lot of people try to go 1099, and it really, even if they are doing it, it's just not working out the way they thought. And that's because there are some nuances to this. There are some key points to this that you have to keep in mind in order to make this lifestyle happen. So it's not just being 1099, it's the way that you manage it. And it's not just managing the taxation, it's how you're managing your tax flow, it's how you're managing your negotiation, it's how you're managing your actual budget. It's how you're talking to networking with other 1099 CRNAs. And that was another goal of mine. I've had so many independent CRNAs, of course, come to me and say, so how did you do this? And I realized, I have helped a lot of CRNAs become 1099, but I realized that this is a national piece of curriculum that is actually missing. So that's why I contacted the ANA and I said, look, we are taught to practice independently. We need practice management courses that are practical and real world. So that's why today's going to be different. I'm going to tell you about exactly what you need to do in order for you to make this happen, for you to realize this dream. And honestly, be aware that a fear of change is a real thing and it is okay, but it is something that can stop you from achieving your dream. And I'm going to dispel those fears. I spend a lot of time on this now and again in my masterclass. And then I bring groups of the 1099 CRNAs together through Q&As. And it's really awesome how they share their experiences, and really our experiences are very similar. So it's supportive and it helps. So it's normal to be afraid to make a change. You might feel really comfortable with where you are, but something is missing. And besides the money that's missing, because your tax structure is W-2 and you're probably paying nearly like mid 20% of taxes on every penny that you earn. Whereas as a 1099 CRNA, you're only paying that on basically a third of what you earn. And then the rest of that is not subject to that huge taxation. And that's at about 12%. So you can see how those numbers change the amount of money that you bring in. So I teach you about all of that. But it's very easy to be so settled that you have inertia. But let me just tell you, it's like somebody taking you by the hand and showing you these different locations. And suddenly you realize, wow, there's a lot of cool people out there in all these different places. So, and the nurses that you'll work with out of the hospitals are ACLS certified. So in the smaller community hospitals, even the critical access hospitals are fantastic for CRNAs to grow professionally. It's very cool. I will be your mentor if you would like me to be for the big class, but I will definitely be your mentor for this mini masterclass. And know that it is easier. It does have to be easier because it's just too hard the way that each CRNA has to reinvent the wheel when they become 1099. We're going to take that out of the loop. I've created a roadmap. You just go step by step. And then also teach exactly why we're doing it the way we're doing. Distractions destroy dreams. And I love this picture. I just think it's cute. But silence your phone unless that's what you're listening to this on, and turn off notifications. Go to a quiet place. Go sit in your car. Go walk down the street and just listen for a few minutes. And I promise you this presentation can change the rest of your future. It can make you have a much more pleasant life, much more enjoyable, where you can lasso that time and go gardening, go fishing, go do these things that you just don't seem to have enough time to do. And you're working so hard. So if you want to make more money with less work, then hang tight, and I'm going to give you the step-by-step action plan. Because really what you need to know is how to move from W-2 to 1099 while maintaining your budget. You need to know where the 1099 positions are and what are some of the negotiation strategies that help you maximize your earnings. So I, as I've said, help lots and lots of people make this move, even folks who aren't CRNAs. I've helped my husband's family as they became independent contractors, because the rules are the same, but it's unique. It's a unique situation because we also have to find the work and negotiate for the work. The reason this slide is up here is because I lived aboard this boat for many, many years, and I was a registered nurse and I was 1099 at the time. And that's why 1099 was so important to me, because I love to cruise. Many people cruise like in RVs and stuff, but my husband and I, we've been together since we're 14 and 15, and I've always loved going out in the boat with him. So nothing's changed, right? Things don't change. But anyway, I did experience that W-2 road to burnout when I first became a nurse anesthetist, and I could not really pinpoint what the problem was, but I knew I wasn't having fun. I wasn't able to get time off to have fun. I was a primary breadwinner. I was walking on eggshells. I wasn't really treated really greatly. And I felt extremely overworked. And I was like, is this how it's going to be? Because if it is, I am not into this at all. Everybody acted like, oh yeah, this is normal, suck it up, cupcake. And I was like, no, I am not going to live that kind of lifestyle. there's more for me than that. That's not how I want to do it. So that's why I happened to meet these 1099ers, because we were so understaffed. I actually never really realized how terribly understaffed we were where I was working. So when the 1099ers came in, they were like all refreshed. They had worked at all these different locations. They breezed out at 3 o'clock sharp. I was like, what on earth? How are they doing this? And then I sat through these great lunchtime chats where all of a sudden everything comes together. I had one of those. And then I started asking all of the 1099ers questions. And then I knew that this was the way I needed to go. I knew I would never be happy with that inflexible schedule and those politics. So obviously I did make that move. At that point, by the time I fully was a 1099 and working, I was 8 months out of anesthesia school. And I was so excited, and I still am, because I've never lost that joy of being 1099 and that refreshing attitude that it gives you on a day-to-day basis. So I've just taught so many people. Here's Jim. I taught him about it. He didn't want to do it. He needed to do something. He was totally miserable, bullied, wanted to do something, so afraid, because he supported his entire family. And now I helped him out, and now he is managing the ASC that he works for and provides anesthesia. So, and then there's Claiborne. She was a new mom. She kept not getting out on time, even though they would say, oh yeah, you'll get out on time. And then cases would add on, and then she would freak out like on a daily basis. And then she was so sad because she felt like she wasn't getting to bond with her kids. So now she works 2 days a week at a GI center that works long days. And then the other 3 days of the week, she's with her kids, and she is making the same amount of money. I shared negotiation skills with her. She is making the money, and she is having the time. And really, that's what it's all about. So if you want a flexible schedule, maximum pay, low tax burden, and plenty of time off, if you're ready, just type yes. And I tell you, that actually helps me quite a bit, because then I realize, oh yeah, people are listening, and I'm not just talking to this ring light. Though I like the ring light. Okay, let's go through these 3 keys to success. I don't want to keep you all night on a holiday night, but you can work where you want, when you want. You can leave and work anywhere if it's not a good fit. I presently have one place where I work just half of a day. I get paid very well for a full day. And actually in that location, I've negotiated to cover them no matter what with staff. So I negotiated an excellent rate. So I'm telling you, one thing just leads to another as you gain negotiation skills and gain self-confidence as a 1099er. So right now I just work 2 or 3 days a week, 10-hour days, just like Claiborne. And I'm a chief CRNA. That is another way you can boost your income. So, and the bottom line is, my epiphany came when I saw how happy these people were. And I met this woman named Darlene Hudson from South Florida, and she taught me all the 1099 CRNA ropes that I'm going to share some of these with you. And the first is a schedule of availability, which is what you call your schedule from there on out. And what I recommend is you get this schedule for a year. You get your, calendar for a year, and you mark out birthdays, holidays, times of the year that you like to be off for one reason or another, or when you're planning that special vacation for an anniversary or whatever. And then that is part of your schedule of availability. And then the next thing that you do is, when you go and you've negotiated for your position at an ASC, and they've agreed to your 2 days that you're going to offer them, or 3 days, then as you're credentialing, you go in like 2 weeks after you finish that interview, and you just kind of familiarize yourself with the place and let everybody know that that's what you're doing. And then at about a month, you go in there and you talk to the chief CRNA and say, hey, I just want to make sure my credentialing is going well. And this brings up a point that during your contract, you need to make sure, or even if you don't do a contract, if you do a letter of intent during your negotiation, and you sign it and the other person signs it, and you need to write on there that if you're not credentialed by the time your start date is, that you will get paid as if you were working there for the days that you've guaranteed them. So that's what an availability schedule is. It's days you've guaranteed them. So then you go there at, like I said, a month, and make sure the chief CRNA calls the credentialing company while you're standing there and make sure that your name is on the roster and that they've received the materials, because time and again that doesn't happen. Then you come back at the second month and you familiarize yourself with everything and you speak with everyone, and then you look on the schedule and you should be seeing your name on that schedule. So this is the thing. Once you're credentialed and your name is on the schedule, you're in. You're definitely in. And then it doesn't take long after that for things to change and shift in the lives of some of the 1099ers that are working and providing coverage there. And then at that point, you can add on even more days. So sometimes you may negotiate just for vacation coverage, and then suddenly they need you 4 days a week. That is how the 1099 life goes. And if you enjoy that workplace, well, shoot, say, sure, that'll be fine. And then you always tell the other places that you're scaling back, that you just don't love, that because of your family situation, you're having to scale back some work. They don't know where you're working other than that. So it's fine. So what about fun in the sun, vacation planning? You're going to be making about 30 to 40% more money. So you need to plan vacations. And what I always recommend is that you go ahead, and etiquette is notify the chief CRNA 3 months in advance to mark you off of the schedule. Of course, offer to fill in for others during their vacations. And so mark you off at the schedule for that time. And then about 6 weeks out from your vacation, be sure you have all of your vacation stuff figured out. And then during that last 6 weeks, save up your fun tickets so you can go spend them. So along with this, you also have to have a savings bucket for estimated taxes. And those are the very two most important savings buckets, because you'll have some other savings buckets that aren't really savings accounts, but like retirement contributions. I mean, that you can get $19,500 put away in retirement as a W-2, but did you know that you can put away 2 to 3 times that amount as a 1099er? And also you can hire your spouse and actually put, not officially them do a whole lot, but they can help you with some of the administrative stuff. And then you can put 19,500 into their retirement account. And so you can really increase your retirement that way. College savings, same thing, hire your kids and put away, there's a certain amount, around $6,000 to $12,000. It just changed. I'm not sure which one it is right now, but I have to look that up. But anyway, yeah, so put that money directly in their college savings. Once again, what you're doing is you're reducing your taxable income. So you're keeping the money that you want and you're not getting taxed. You're pulling that money out like a W-2 can't before taxation. So you're only paying taxes on a minimal amount. And that is the beauty of the 1099 lifestyle. That's where these tax breaks come in. There are things like having a home office, that you're not spending the money on your home office, but you get to channel some of that money into your personal account and you're not paying taxes on it. So it's just fantastic. There's all kind of little nuances like that. There's ways of handling your cash flow. So I get into great depth with that, with each of that's why they're turned into being 11 classes. But I'm actually about to tack on a 12th one, which is your office, opening your own office-based practice, since I recently did that. So what about call, politics, MDA, intimidation? No, you don't get any of that. And if you want to expand your practice in different areas, go work in an ENT area for a while, go work at a critical access hospital where CRNAs are subsidized by the federal government and get paid between $300,000 to $400,000 a year. And do you have other CRNAs that are teaching, so that you can do anything like TEEs if you haven't gotten to do them, or blocks and that kind of thing. So it's really fantastic. It's a great lifestyle. But if you're not business savvy, it doesn't really matter. When you have a mentor, they'll take you there. So don't worry about that. We CRNAs are very smart. We can put things together. We can multitask, but it does help to have somebody show you, show one, do one, teach one, right? So we've heard that a million times. But the key concept is you're not going to be paying taxes on things that you normally are paying for with after-tax dollars. That is just a huge amount of money. So you're saving at least a third on everything. So your money that you're paying for Verizon, all of a sudden you're saving huge amounts of taxes on that money. So it's almost like you're paying less for it. It takes less labor generated cash to make those payments because they're tax deductible. So things like the internet, your health insurance is another one of those things that actually just automatically reduce your AGI, including for your spouse and your children under 26 years old. All that's deductible. So if any of these things in red speak to you, if you've got the mindset to change, I totally get that. I experienced all of these things, and I know many, many, many other people who have. And that's why I just want to extend this life ring of education and help you guys, the ones who are interested, to really learn how to be a better 1099 if you're already 1099, or branch out and let that fear go, because it will be a better lifestyle financially and from a personal growth and happiness standpoint. Take it from anyone who has become 1099 and worked through all of these strategies. Don't let your fear rule you. Step forward for you and your family and just make it happen. If any of these benefits on this slide speak to you, if you really want to control your work location and your schedule and your personal growth and even your level of autonomy, because you can go work in an ACT environment as a 1099, it's still a better situation. You can work as an independent CRNA and make even a whole lot more money. Or you can work in a collaborative environment where you still have the ability to negotiate your rate up. So the $300,000 question, because that is about how much money you're going to make, is this something you want to do? Do you want these benefits of working less and earning more and maximizing your retirement college savings? And your benefits can be customized. In fact, in the big course, what I do is I have insurance people like health insurance, life insurance, disability, and malpractice. Kenyon Clifton is our malpractice speaker, and he is fantastic. But all of those, we also have 3 CPAs and 2 financial advisors, which make a huge difference. And then once you join my class, you're a member for a year. So it's basically 12 weeks. So there's 4 cycles of my class. Back when it was 10 weeks, there were 5 cycles, but it just couldn't get it all done. That I needed more class time because there's more information that is so helpful. So this is a really valuable course. Jan Menino, who is a lawyer and a CRNA of 60 years, she speaks to our class for contracts because that is her specialty. So she really helps with negotiation strategies, as well as she's opened 3 different ASCs. And so she has a lecture on office-based CRNA strategies as well. And then one more is reimbursement. I do teach CRNA productivity so you can negotiate better and feel better when you are sitting there negotiating. You'll understand how much money you're creating for someone and relative to what you're actually putting in your pocket. So you got a lot of value from the big class. But how about, is transitioning from W-2 to 1099 complicated? It is not as long as you have like a guideline. And so how do you do this? How do you make, oh wait, I missed a slide that is very important. The concept is unlimited work is available. It really, really is. Basically, you can do something like go to an NPI website, put your zip code in there and look at all of the plethora of pain clinics and DMD dentist office and dentist offices where the dentists have anesthesia. I forget what the little acronym is, but they can give anesthesia so they can hire an anesthetist. Plastic surgery centers that don't require insurance money. So if you are sick of where you are and you want to just get on out there and go to work, you can go work at a plastic surgery center without any credentialing, just privileging, which takes a couple of weeks, because they'll put you in with patients. They'll schedule you with the folks who don't require the insurance or private pay, which is a huge proportion of their work. Even the pain clinics, they get paid not through insurance, but through, what do you call it, lawsuits. If you're ready to do it, you don't have to go work at a hospital. You don't even have to go to an ENT surgery center or urology surgery center or all these various surgery centers, GI, just all the different 1091s, you could just go hop into somewhere without even credentialing so that you could get the move on. And then I want you to pay attention to these big centers that I typically don't advise you to go to because they're typically toxic. But the fact is that if they're just changing anesthesia companies, those anesthesia companies are not going to get paid for anybody's work for 9 months. So it takes you 3 or 4 months to credential, and it takes them 3 or 4 months to credential everybody because they're brand new. So when you see that someone has taken over a hospital, go credential, go sign up, because you don't have to wait to credential to go ahead and work and start doing cases. They retroactively start getting paid at about 6 months out to 9 months out. If you think about that, they're taking on this huge debt to pay all of these anesthetists. So I'm telling you guys, wherever there's a W-2 job, typically there's a 1099 job. If you get the 1099 jobs like what I'm talking about with these people who have changed the anesthesia group recently, that's when you can negotiate the really, really good rates. And it's going to be worth the really good rate because typically these are difficult locations to work in. So I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. But how do you make the move if you're a primary breadwinner? It is okay. You just take a timeline and you put your credentialing, the amount, notice you have to turn in on the timeline, and then how long it's going to take you to credential at the place where you want to go. Basically, you mesh those two things. And when you're finished with one, then maybe take a week or two and then start the other one. And save for the transition if you wish. I never did that. I just was ready to rock. And then I do not recommend being part-time W-2 while you're 1099 because you cannot really get these benefits I'm telling you about. Not really. The tax saving benefits won't kick in unless you're like an LLC or an S corporation and pretty much full-time. So the timing, you can do that though if psychologically it helps you, and do that kind of as a bridge. But whenever you're making this move, just throw your family under the bus and say, because of so-and-so, I'm just going to need to switch my tax structure from W-2 to 1099. And because my husband or these situations. And so it's just going to behoove me from a business standpoint to become 1099. If you could use me as a 1099, that would be great. And typically the locations that you're leaving will not, because they'll want to condescendingly say, well, if I were your father and you were my son or daughter, I would recommend you not do that because you may not be able to come back and work here, which is a big bluff, trying to plant fear and keep you as a W-2. And I'm going to tell you that in 6 months after you go and you have your wonderful time working as a 1099, but you miss the community you were working with, at that point, when it's holiday time, vacation time, especially summertime, you say, hey, I'm available. I'm still in the area. If y'all would like 1099 coverage, I am glad to do it. And because you're credentialed, they're going to suck you in. So no worries. So what if there's a sign-on bonus or a stipend? Just pay it back. It is just totally not worth being in a toxic environment. Just pay it back. You needed that money when you graduated, you had it, you used it. Don't worry about it. You make enough, you can pay that back. What about financial solvency? It's not a problem. The federal government supports small businesses. So most of the folks who were full-time 1099 in 2019 came out with $40,000 when they had a 25% reduction 1 quarter of 2020. So that they made up the money that they lost. Don't worry about that. And then as far as negotiating a great rate, do learn the 1099 rates in your area, but understand that 70% of all people do not negotiate at all. They just go into their negotiation, they sit down, the people say, well, this is what I'm going to pay you. And they say, well, okay. And then that's not how you negotiate. You are expected to negotiate. Just because you hear of some crummy 1099 rates in your area, that does not dictate what you're going to be making. So I teach that in my negotiation lecture, and I teach you how to work with that. And what you should really do is network with some of these 1099 CRNAs and saying, look, I don't want to undercut your rate because that would bring down all the rates in our area ultimately and bring down your rate. So if you could tell me a ballpark of what you think I ought to ask, and then in actuality ask for about 20% more than that. And I teach a whole lot that goes into that in the negotiation lecture, which happens to be coming up this Wednesday. So I have 2 classes simultaneously. On Tuesday is orientation coming up, and on Wednesday is my prior class, and we're on the lecture number 5, which is negotiations. What's nice is you can hop in and out of whatever classes you want to, and then because you'll have a year membership, you can get in and out as you need to based on life and how you're developing your 1099. Don't be afraid to network. Don't be afraid to ask other 1099ers what they make and explain. You just don't want to undercut them. So, and they'll understand that. But I do want to tell you my aha moment is that when Darlene sat me down and explained the 1099 income and benefits that I was going to need to purchase, I was like really put out. But then I found out that those are the things that free me to be able to go work anywhere. I don't have to walk on eggshells because of benefits that in reality I pay almost the same amount for as a W-2. So you're going to love hearing what the health insurance guy that I have has to say. And there's just so many nice nuances when you can spend 30 minutes listening to somebody present about what they're good at, and then you can do a Q&A and ask them questions. So when you're aware of these key concepts, it really is smooth sailing. It really is moving from W-2 to 1099. And the third key to success, and I know I've gone on quite a bit, but you can be a 1099er and never have to worry because there is steady work out there. There is a ton of steady work out there. They're just as steady as W-2 work. Most of the places that hire 1099ers don't hire W-2 CRNAs because they're just not set up to. Don't think that just because you're 1099, you're not going to have financial stability, because you will. In fact, you're going to wish you could clone yourself. I am just really, if it's not somebody being out on shoulder surgery, then it's somebody else going on vacation and I'm nice and I'm like, okay. And you don't have to accept to help other people out, but it does come back to you. There's plenty of work out there and you can find the work because I teach how the recruiters actually find the work. Once you sign on with a recruiter to find work, they get really busy and they start finding the work around where you're located. And I teach you how to do that. I actually created an app for that. You may feel like you're not safe to branch out without MDAs. Maybe you've been in an ACT environment your whole time, and that's okay. Because honestly, you totally can do that. Even if a lot of the settings are ACT, but if you go outside of those ACT settings, you will find true joy as a CRNA and know that there are nurses all around you, ACLS certified, and know that, isn't it true that when your patient crashes, you fix the problem. And then the doc walks in, gives a little chin lift and says something kind of condescending like, so tell me what happened here. And it's like, really? No. I mean, by then you've actually saved the situation. So it could probably be imposter syndrome, which about 80% of the population has. And it's where they feel like they know this much and other people know that much. People like Albert Einstein suffered from this, Maya Angelou, and also Arnold Schwarzenegger. So these powerful people, these brilliant people that we feel like so inadequate around, they have imposter syndrome. They feel like that if others really knew that they would feel like a fraud. But in fact, they're not. They're brilliant people, and so are you, and you can totally do this. You might worry that by leaving your W-2, you're burning bridges, but it's all in how you do it. It's in how you handle that. And part of what you do is you say you'd be really excited to come back and work there as a 1099, that it's just business, that it is that 1099 tax structure that you're looking for. So always throw your family under the bus because that is real. I mean, I'm sure you can think right now of a good reason that it would benefit somebody in your family if you were able to have a more flexible schedule. So nobody would ever argue about that because we've all got our family situations. Don't ever worry about, like, if you go to a critical access hospital to work, that would be difficult. It's not. You can listen, do some personal growth podcasts, and then deduct all of those miles because, in fact, when you're working there at the critical access hospital, you're actually being trained by a CRNA to do the things that maybe you haven't done for a while. Say you take a 6-month critical access hospital job and it's just like 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. Then, I mean, you get so much experience with that. And the fact is, they don't have more than 100 surgeries a year. So it's super sweet, very pleasant. I just hear that over and over again. I'm really anticipating doing that one day soon. You might be worried about budgeting, but I teach one of the courses is entirely on budgeting. And what if you feel like you're just too comfortable, you just couldn't possibly leave? Well, you might be cutting yourself out of a very wonderful situation. I know that in a couple of years, say you did say, oh, I really want to go back. And that's okay. If you do go back, everybody's going to still be there. I honestly think that you'll find some unexpected pleasure, that you'll be meeting new people, you'll be growing your anesthesia talent, and you'll be working in a nicer setting with a kinder schedule. And really, you deserve the lower stress, because honestly, being a W-2 is a very difficult job as a CRNA. This is my friend Jimmy Sauder. He was the chief CRNA as well as W-2 at a hospital in Texas. And finally, he got in touch with me, was asking some questions. And then he was my first student. I took him through all the steps and he is so thrilled. He and his wife live in Kansas. They work at a critical access hospital. They absolutely love it. I had a lot of fears about jumping the W-2 ship, and it doesn't surprise me if you do, but I just want you to know that it does work out. Once you set your intention that this is what you want to do, suddenly, and you talk to people about it, doors open, network, don't hide it. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It is just a tax structure for all practical purposes. So if any of you guys are seriously motivated to do this, to free your schedule and control your lifestyle and make more money and put more money away, then say yes. That lets me know you're with me, and I appreciate it. Thank you guys. And to smoothly transition from W-2 to 1099, you can either just figure it out on your own, which a lot of people try that method, but a lot of times you're wasting time and energy and Googling, and it's easy to drop the ball along the way. It's nice to have somebody to be accountable to. So I recommend that you go and have someone with you that has done it themselves and that has done this over and over and over successfully again. And it's basically a shortcut. It's also a lot of support and networking with other people who are doing the same thing from all over the country. So that's why I have this 1099 CRNA Freedom Masterclass, because it really is freeing. And this gives you that smooth path. It makes it easy. It totally makes it doable. And this is what you'll get, hopefully, a day at a place like this, just doing your classwork while you're learning about the tax structures. So this course is for CRNAs that feel like you're not getting paid your value and you're not getting to take time off when it works for you or your family, and you want to maximize your retirement contributions. And this is just a quick breakdown of the course modules, and it's basically how to overcome the fears is the first one, but also I explain into great detail the app that I created, so it shows you how to find the jobs nearby where you live. And then the second module is setting sail, getting everything up and going, and the exact steps that it takes with the support and all your questions answered. And then the third is the structure versus the cost of complexity, and making that very important decision on what tax structure that you're going to do. And then the fourth module is brainy budgets and banking buckets, which are intertwined. And I teach you the cash flow, because there's different streams of income that will go into your personal account from your business, and you need to choose the stream that you are not paying taxes. So you have to do it the proper way. Module 5 is about the benefits. Module 6 is about learning your value. And Module 7 is about negotiations, rate and contract negotiations. And then Module 8 is about bookkeeping. And then separate from this, Jan Menino teaches 3 courses, again, on contracts, reimbursement, and setting up your own office-based practice. So you're just going to get the smooth transition. You're going to take the stress out of the transition, and you won't have to struggle with it all by yourself. You'll have other people who are doing the same thing to talk to. You can ask me questions at any time. We have Q&A sessions, 2 Q&A sessions a week in this masterclass. that are optional but are bonus if you can attend them. One I actually put on Saturday at 11. Sometimes it's on Sundays, just depending, so that I can make sure I can reach everybody and be available for you for Q&As. So the first bonus module is tax organization reports and prepping, which is different type of preparation for your CPA than your personal stuff. And then counteracting commingling, very important to prevent audits, plus retirement strategy breakdown. And then setting up an office-based practice. My lecture is a bit different from Jan's. So what you're going to get is all of this, the full 8 weeks plus the 3 bonuses. And now you also are going to get, I'm happy to announce, 21 CEUs from this Class A prior approved CEUs. So I'm so thrilled to announce that. So if all I did was help you set up your benefits and your budget and your bookkeeping and business setup and your tax organization, and if I help you overcome the fear to even get started and continue on, and if I help reduce all that stress and the time involved, would it be worth it? Honestly, I think it would. So when creating this program, I had the choice of making it very inexpensive and have a lot of people in there, or charge a bit more, but really so I could provide a good product and so that I could be there and available to you when you need me. So I don't ever mind if a student messages me, asks questions of me at any time. It is perfectly fine. So which one would you rather have? It's just a fantastic value, honestly. I know it is. It will add hundreds of thousands of dollars to your life besides happiness. So you can see why it is a good deal. It's just $1,497. And if you go ahead and commit, then you will get that full year of subscription where you get to be part of the class and qualify for those bonuses. There'll be an enrollment link below in this. I just wanted you to hear what Jimmy had to say about it.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jimmy Sauder. I'm a CRNA, and I recently took Alicia's masterclass for the 1099 CRNA Success Group. I've been a CRNA for almost 7 years, and W-2 that entire time. I recently switched to 1099, and honestly, I couldn't have done it without Alicia's help. Mentorship has been, just more than what I could have asked for throughout this whole process of my transition to 1099. I was fortunate enough to meet her and get into the first class, the beta class, and she's just gone above and beyond the entire time to answer any questions I could have had, offer her guidance, give her input. She was just there for me all the time, anytime I needed her, because I just had so many questions going from W2 to 1099. There's so much to learn, things you got to think about, things you have to take care of that as a W2 employee, you just don't need to worry about any of those things. However, when you become 1099 and start your own business, whether it's taxes or how to set up your LLC or just any number of things, just so many things I just never thought of before. It's been a tremendous learning experience for me, kind of a crash course in these past 3 months, but Alicia's been such a big help. And then of course, the group and getting everybody else's input, it's been a real blessing and just helped me out. I just can't imagine trying to do it on my own without that expertise and that mentorship that she provides. With almost 20 years of experience herself as a 1099, not much she hasn't done or seen already. So I would highly recommend this class to anyone who's thinking about becoming a 1099. I'm a few months in now and really glad that I made the transition. And so, 5 stars. Alicia's been great. Recommend her any higher. So,
He's so sweet. What a great guy. And just so happy. And I knew he would. Most people, I haven't had anyone who wasn't happy yet. And now I think we've had like 80 students. Everything is really, without a doubt, better as a 1099er, as a CRNA. I would never be able to go back to W-2. There would never be any reason for me to do that. The freedom of the schedule is just huge. So, but if there is any questions that I can answer, any questions at all, I'm going to take just a few minutes. There's a definite time lag on the questions on the comment field. compared to my presentation here. So just give me a minute. I'll take that time and stop share and give y'all an opportunity to join me and ask any questions at all. It's perfectly fine. So let's see who's here. Thank you guys for joining me this afternoon. I really appreciate it. If there's any questions I can answer, I'm always happy to do that. Don't hesitate to personal message me. After doing this now for nearly, I guess, 8 months is how long I've been teaching this class formally, and all the informal classes, I can pretty much shoot back any answer that you need at any time. So don't hesitate to do that. Michelle wants to know how much is the course. It is $1,497, but there's a lot that goes in with that. There's a lot that you get. And Allison, hey, Allison, good to see you. Nice to meet you guys. So yeah, totally worth it. It's 11 classes that I teach, and then there are about 10 presentations that include Jan Menino, all the different insurance people, including Canyon Clifton, 3 CPAs that are all CRNA centric, and also 2 financial advisors. So you really get what you need to get going. And then you're a member for a year, so that at any time that you want to come back and watch a class, or look through some of the links that I provide for you, that you can, a little extra reading if you like, then you can go through that. Or if you decide you want to do this, I want to learn about it first, and then maybe in about 6 months I'll be ready. I mean, people do, there are things in life that have to come first, and that is totally understandable. But that way you'll have 6 more months to make it happen, and you'll be very well informed. So I am just really excited that the AANA sees the value of practice management. I think that it's a long time coming, because I was looking for this literally 20 years ago. So I hope you guys have a great evening. And I hope that, I just want to say thank you all. If any of you guys have been in the service, thank you so much for your service, and for your family members that have been in the service. It's an honor to be part of that. So I appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great evening. So I'll see you soon. Take care.